Something a little bit different today. I have just spent a glorious weekend in Adelaide and the Barossa Valley, and I wanted to share some of my food experiences. Let's go. There's a few of them. So Friday night, went to Arkhe, Jake Kelly's fire-focused restaurant. Jake and I have a very special connection. I wrote the first review of his food when he was at Commoner way back in 2012 or thereabouts, and it's been amazing to watch his progression as a chef. He was over at Burnt Ends in Singapore for a while, and yeah, he's opened his first restaurant, Arkhe, in Adelaide. It's turning one later this week, and it was just beautiful. I just love the real produce-focused approach to food. Everything touches the fire. Even there's a saucepan of oil where they do their deep frying over fire, which I think is pretty clever. So I would also recommend that you go back and listen to a podcast I did with Della Goodfellow-Slee, who's the assistant restaurant manager there. She is a gun, but the whole team is good. There's a great feeling there. Shout out to Sam and Greta, and also to Batia for looking after us with some beautiful wine and other drinks. One thing I would just like to put out there, if anyone knows, they burn red gum at Arkhe, and a lot of the fire cooking in Australia is over red gum. It burns really beautifully and imparts a gorgeous smokiness to whatever's being cooked. But with all the floods around the country, I've heard some whispers of issues with red gum supply, and so many restaurants rely on, fire cooking is sort of at the centre of what they do. It's definitely a thing. So yeah, I'm interested in that. Is there a wood crisis around the corner? Batia sent us to Alkina when he heard we were going to the Barossa Valley, and it was incredible to be spoken through the project by Amelia Nolan, who runs Alkina Winery. It's an organic winery, which is pretty unusual for the Barossa, which does a lot of bulk wines, big oaky reds, but the approach at Alkina is really different. They take an extremely granular approach to their terroir. The Argentinian owner, Alberto Antonini, has a friend, Pedro Parra, who is a terroir expert. This is the only winery that he's worked at in Australia, and he's mapped the soil and the rock underneath with incredible precision, and they've used those maps to divide the wineries up into very small parcels, and they blend the grapes according to that. It's really, I suppose all winemakers, when they're expressing terroir, do this to a degree, but the way that they combine science with art and heart and on-the-ground experience, I found really different and really inspiring. So definitely look out for those Alkina wines around the place. Also in the Barossa, this is so different. So it's an area that was settled by a lot of immigrants from Germany, a really strong Lutheran heritage in that area. And Tanunda has a lot of this. It's the main town in that region. There's a really cute shop there called Adelaide, and it's just the sweetest shop for jams and beanies and babies' blankets and traditional cakes. So really worth stopping into. All the funds they're divvied up between the members, but then any profits go to charity. It's just really, really lovely. Got a bit of a CWA vibe, but super, super intense, and with that beautiful background with some of that German heritage. So like a cake, a spice cake with particular German flavours. It was really good. Back in Adelaide, I really loved the East End, which is this cool little crush of bars and restaurants and boutiques. So some of the standouts there were Exchange Coffee, which is a really awesome place to grab a brew, all sourced. They know where the beans are coming from, and they do a really good job with the coffee there. End Cellars across the road is a great place for buying wine, both local and from all around the world. The selection is extraordinary. Also a cool place to sit in for a glass or a bottle of wine, and they've got snacks as well. So very cool. Up the other end of Ebenezer Place in this East End precinct is Haigh, which is a French brasserie. It's channeling extreme Frenchy vibes, does it really well, and found that a really nice little dose of Paris in Adelaide. Not far from there is a bottle bar called Locke, where you can go in and have a glass or a bottle of wine, most leaning towards the natural, a lot of local stuff. Really enjoyed it. Restaurant Botanic is somewhere that I still haven't eaten, but I did pop in there for a visit with Chef Justin James, who I encountered when he was the head chef at Vue de Monde some years back. Restaurant Botanic is extraordinary. It's set in the gardens. It's the most beautiful setting in a century-old pavilion looking out onto the gardens. And the approach there, it's native produce, but they also forage the garden. So there's no produce that's grown specifically for the restaurant, but they are able to go around and gather the bunya nuts or the 12 different types of sage, or there's fruit trees. It's a very edible garden, so stone fruit. What else was there? Kumquats. I ate the sweetest kumquat of my life straight off the tree there. It was really, really good. All kinds of herbs, native and introduced. Just a really cool approach. The menu is 26 courses, which sounds crazy, but I guess a lot of them are quite small, but so much detail. Justin basically talked me through the menu, and there's just a lot of touches on each dish. I really need to go back and get the whole experience. On Saturday night, we went to Parwana, which is an Afghani restaurant in the suburbs run by the Ayubi family. And the book that I've co-written with Hamed Aliari called Salamati was really inspired by Parwana. They've brought these Afghani recipes and stories, the story of their family, their immigration story, really beautifully rendered through this book. We share a publisher, Murdoch Books, and it was really amazing to eat this delicious food and give the family a copy of Salamati. Really lovely to sort of join those dots. The food is like the most delicious, smoky, slumpy yogurt and garlic smothered eggplant, a really gorgeous chickpea curry, some chive dumplings that are then fried, and there's a lamb mint sauce over the top, again with yogurt and garlic. Just really, I guess, straightforward flavours, but combined with such sensitivity and simple, honest, but very deft cooking. I thought it was great. A lot of food. A lot of people were leaving the restaurant with containers. When you're staying in town at a hotel, you just eat it all. So we were committed. We did that. Haigh is an Adelaide institution, so a chocolate company that's known around the country, but was started in Australia. And you can go to their first store, which has been, I think, on Beehive Corner since 1915 or thereabouts. I was really excited to see there a collab between Haigh and Warndu. So Damien Coulthard and Rebecca Sullivan, who have the Warndu Warndu My Good Food, which was their first book, and they've just brought out First Nations Food Companion, which is extraordinary. Anyway, they're doing a collab with Muntries chocolate with Haigh, and so had to buy a whole bunch of that because I think that's going to be great Christmas presents. And just joining the circles, as I think Adelaide is one of those towns where there's often connection upon connection upon connection. At Alkina, Damien Coulthard has painted a number of the labels and they're gorgeous. So there was one Night Sky wine and just, I don't know, really resonant label goes with it. So last thing I'm going to talk about is produce markets. Adelaide is really thrilling because it's close to so many great regions. So Adelaide Hills, Barossa Valley, McLaren Vale, Clare Valley, all within pretty easy reach of the city, all great wine regions, but also produce. And you can get a lot of that produce at the Adelaide Farmers Market, which is at the showgrounds on a Sunday. And that's a really cool place for walking around snacking. There's a sort of knickknacks, vintagey hall where people are selling things that they've made. But yeah, 5 minutes walk from there, there's a really awesome open air produce section. And one thing I loved about that is that there are members' prices. So if you're a member of the market and people were being recruited on the spot, then you get a discount. And I thought that was really nice to have that extra buy-in from people who want to support local farmers and get rewarded for doing so. Adelaide's Central Market is such an institution and always great for a visit. I love wandering the aisles here with great produce interspersed with places to sit down and have a glass of wine or some oysters, falafel, cannelé, really multicultural, and a really great expression of how excited this city is about food. I think Adelaide has a really great vibe. Highly recommend it for visiting. Easy to get around, easy to get out of town as well. And yeah, just want to thank everybody who produced all the great food and all the great drinks that I was lucky enough to experience over the weekend. I'll put all the links in the show notes so that you can have your own Adelaide adventure. Of course, there are about a zillion places that I didn't get to. It's definitely time to plan my next trip back to South Oz. All right, catch you soon. This is Dirty Linen, and I'm Dani Valent. We air the issues that the hospitality industry finds hard to talk about, hearing from different people with unique perspectives. We want to hear from you as well. If you have something that needs to be said about a topic, get in touch so we can include your perspective. Contact us at dirtylinen@deepintheweeds.com.au or hit us up on Insta at Dirty Linen Podcast. We can't wait to hear from you.
This is a Deep in the Weeds production.